Inspire 2024. My name is Kate Stashny. I'm from Dedicated, and this is my second year at Inspire. Ravit, good to see you here.
Same here. It's so exciting to be here.
I know, I agree. What's been your favorite part so far?
I think the keynote, I've heard the keynote like fully, and I'm so happy to chat with Paula and Eric today about it, but also other things. I think the community has a different energy altogether, right?
I agree. I think the reception was just fire. Like, it was so exciting. Everyone was on something for sure. I don't know.
I saw you dancing.
I was not dancing. That was Susan. No, I think the energy was really palpable, and everyone is so excited to be here. So I think that definitely rubs off on people. And I know we're here to talk to some very special people, so you want to introduce them?
For sure. So I'm Ravit Jain from The Ravit Show. It's so exciting because last year it was London Inspire for me. This time it's Vegas Inspire. So I'm pretty excited to chat with Paula Ansin, President and Chief Revenue Officer at Alteryx, and Eric Sodin, Partner at Capitalize. First of all, welcome to the Dedicated, The Ravit Show, and we are so excited to be here at Alteryx Inspire, so thanks for inviting us. Paula, quick question for you. Inspire is always such a huge event for all the bigger community, the analytics community.
Yeah.
So would you like to share something around the keynote, any exciting announcements with our audience today?
Yeah, you bet. Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for spending some time, and thank you for being at Inspire. It is an electric environment for sure, because we have such passionate users and people that share this common goal of problem solving and innovating with their data. There was a lot of exciting things about the keynote. We were highlighting customer stories to help people really understand what organizations like SiriusXM and West Marine and RSM UK do with Alteryx, and that always, I think, DoorDash, I think that gives people really great inspiration for what they could do in their organizations. And we made some really great product announcements, right? So announcing Aiden Copilot to put the power of generative AI even more in the hands of our users. We've always been known for being easy to use, and now with Copilot, it can't get any easier, right? With prompts and just sort of effortless workflow building as a result of the Copilot. So we're really excited about that.
Love it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love those customer stories. So many savings in time, so much ROI. It was really great. And Eric, really glad to see you here. You're right, you're on two shows at once, the Review Show and the Dedicated Show all at the same time. So let's start with telling the audience a bit about Capitalize and how do you partner with Alteryx?
Sure, yeah, so started the company with a business partner, Brian, shout out to Brian, but 11 and a half years ago. And we started in the data analytics space from the beginning, a lot of data warehousing, a lot of ETL, that type of stuff. And as the market changed, the tools became more relevant to more users, and it wasn't just locked in IT. So I look at Tableau as kind of one of the first big ones to market, where all of a sudden accountants and tax people and HR people are starting to use data in a more sophisticated manner. And one of the troubles with Tableau was, how do I get the data to Tableau? And so all of a sudden, we're running into these issues with these users, and then we're back to being reliant on IT. And so one of the fun things when we discovered Alteryx about 9 years ago now was we started seeing these people who were big fans of data but were sort of locked in spreadsheets for data preparation and blending. All of a sudden they have this big smile on their face because they're using these tools, Alteryx in this case, right, to be able to get in and get data and analyze it and slice it and dice it and be able to visualize it themselves, right, not being reliant on somebody else. And I think just in general, the wave of technology from 20 years ago to today, it's all about simplification of these things. And even when you look at AI, it's just like, how can we make this stuff easier and easier and easier so more people can do it? Because in the end, the people who add the most value to the organizations are the people who are doing the jobs, right? So if they can do them faster, then there's more value there. And to me, I was actually just talking about, like, imagine if we had to handwrite everything still, right?
No,
it probably takes
my handwriting is terrible.
Yeah, and I can't spell anything. But even if it takes you 1/10 of a second to write a letter, and it takes you 1/100th of a second to type a letter, over the course of a human lifetime, how much savings? So to me, a lot of it's not like, I'm not necessarily excited about any of these things because of a $5 million single use case savings. But when you save $5,000 and you do that 1,000 times, right? And people are able to interact with these technologies and have a better time with their work, their morale boosts, they stay longer. We actually, this is an interesting one I haven't shared with Paula yet, but I've been talking to companies who are adopting Alteryx, and one of the reasons is when they're hiring, they're being asked what technologies they use in accounting and in tax and in finance.
Right.
And if the answer is Excel, or we don't have a good answer, they don't want to work there.
Yeah.
And that makes
so
sense.
now it's like you won't be able to recruit people if you're using crappy old technology. You're making them handwrite everything. They're not going to come. And that's a fun one.
It is. And same, I think it's retention as well, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely have customers tell us that they feel like they keep attrition lower. They, that their employees feel empowered. They feel like they're contributing to the greater good of the company, and that's inspiring for people to be a part of that.
Very interesting. I think, Eric, first of all, thanks for sharing all those insights. And I know you are managing director, managing partner with Capitalize. I was chatting with Steve yesterday at Capitalize. Love the team, and very interesting insights that they have shared as well. But I have a curious question for you. When you talk about Capitalize and Alteryx, the partnership seems to be fantastic. It's so good. But what does it? Like, how does it, how do you feel like it sets you apart in terms of the other players in the space, in the analytics space?
It's kind of a big question. So I think when you have really amazing tools that work very, very well that people are passionate about, they still need help. They still need somebody. If they've never used it before, it doesn't really matter what the tool is, how great the tool is. Even an iPhone, right? People didn't get the first iPhone and not get any help. They went to the Genius Bar or whatever, right? And they learned to use it over the course of time. Alteryx is no different, and UiPath is no different. Tableau is no different. Power BI, right? These people, that what they want is things either automated, or they want to learn how to use this stuff. They want to do their jobs better. People don't necessarily care how it happens, just such that it does happen. And so the beauty of Alteryx is it works, right? It works every time. I don't worry about whether or not it's not going to work this time.
It's the confidence.
I know that it's going to work, right?
Yes.
Like, if you build houses, you know your saws and your drills are going to work. You don't think like,
100%.
oh, I hope this drill works. I hope you don't think that. Bad home builder.
It might not work, but
right? Yeah, you might have to swap the battery.
But the expectation is it's going to work.
But in the end, like when I talk to a client and I hear what they're doing, I can be 99.9% positive. I say, if you've got a decent vision, we can find solvable challenges, and we have technology that works. All we have to do is put a plan in place, and success is virtually guaranteed. And to me, that's the thing about Alteryx that I love is if you're going after the right market for the right reasons, and you're just trying to help people be better, help people automate their processes, help people stop working 50 hours a week and get them down to 38, and then teach them how you did it, it's a no-brainer. It's why wouldn't you do it?
100%.
I think Eric's being a little humble about the role that Capitalize ends up playing in our broader ecosystem. They've been with us for a very long time, since the beginning, repeatedly getting awards from us for being, leading partner for the Americas. And just recently, they were our first Designer Cloud Services authorized partner, which is a huge, huge deal for us.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. So they really lean into the technology wherever we are, and to Eric's point, then kind of extend beyond the technology to people and process and how to really help organizations be successful. So we certainly appreciate their partnership.
I think the community always loves when, two technologies come together and they are doing it for the community. And that's what I see, when I was talking to Paula behind the scenes as well. I always felt that energy that you guys are doing it for the customers, for the clients, and you all are listening.
Yeah.
So I think that is very important in any business to be successful, but as partners, you can do so much more.
Yeah.
So well deserved on those, awards for sure.
It's been a blast. I mean, we keep partnering because it keeps working. We keep adding more value to each other. We've if it wasn't working, if Alteryx wasn't happy with us, or clients weren't happy with us, or we weren't happy with Alteryx, it wouldn't work.
Right.
But it just continues to work because we both continue to put effort into it. It's a relationship like every other relationship.
Yeah.
100%.
And these guys try new things. Well, we have to support new things to help see if it's going to work, right? We're the feet on the street in a lot of cases. And Alteryx builds great technologies, but somebody's got to bring that to the companies that need that technology, make it work, make sure that you don't sell software and then it's shelfware 6 months from now.
Yeah.
That's
don't want that.
that's the worst for a software company, because
Not at all.
these folks need people to renew new. They need people to be happy. They need people to get more software. And so for us, like the value I think we add is we help people understand why it's so impactful, where it can be impactful, and then when they do sign on the dotted line and they get Alteryx, we help make sure 6 months from now they have a big smile on their face, and when they see Paula, they want to give her a hug, not be like, oh yeah, you're those Alteryx people, right? Like that's not what we want. So no, it's pretty easy, I think, when you're helping people intentionally, you're helping each other as partners, and you're working towards the same basic goal. It shouldn't be hard.
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely. So I want to briefly go back to the keynotes, and Paula, we were just talking about customers and the importance of bringing the value to the customers.
Yeah.
For those who didn't make it to this year's Inspire, what would you say were the key takeaways that your customers might want to hear about?
Yeah, you bet. Well, we're living in this age of AI right now where everybody's wanting to understand what role AI can play in the work that they do. And so we've been thinking about how AI makes the things that people have come to expect from Alteryx even better. And so when I think of what people have come to expect from us, it's two big things. One is ease of use, right? We are for people of all levels of technical capability, but regardless, people want things to be faster, easier to use, lower that barrier to entry. So there's a lot of things that we've announced and are out available in the market today to make things easier to use. I referenced Copilot as a big one, but there's a number of other areas like playbooks, like auto insights, that all contribute to making things easier to use.
Right.
The second thing that I think people have come to expect from Alteryx is a quick time to value, right? So once you understand how to work with the platform, we can pretty quickly have impact in people's work and in their companies. And so AI also doubles down our ability to deliver value quickly for people. So when I think of things like magic documents as an example, when I think about the integration that we have with our on-premise capabilities of Designer and Server with ecosystem players like Databricks, who was with us up on stage, Snowflake and others, that is quick time to value. That is helping people really, put their data to work for them. So we're really excited about where we are and where the light is shining on the data space right now so clearly, and we're deeply committed to helping our customers maximize the potential of the data.
I've got to say, when I saw the Copilot and I saw the workflows being built by themselves,
right?
I'm like, this is magic. And I was talking to a couple of people. Everyone was really impressed by that. And one guy is like, someone tapped him on the shoulder and he's like, I guess they don't need us anymore. And I'm like, no, they do. Your job is going to evolve. It's going to change. It's just going to... You're going to not work 56 hours a week. You work 38, right?
Like, the velocity will change. Just like when we went from writing to typing, right? The first group who used like Lotus and the Lotus 123 and Excel and stuff. I mean, talk about game changing compared to the way they used to do it, right? But accountants didn't all get fired, right? It just made them more efficient. And everything we're doing is just a step in the efficiency direction. Make it faster, which means the demands will go up. Competitiveness will go up. Other people will be faster as well. So now we're all faster. So now we're all at the same baseline. We've just moved the baseline to be faster.
Business context is always really important, right?
Totally.
So if you work in finance, you work in supply chain, you work in sales and marketing, that is absolutely vital for data analytics and AI to be useful in any way, because you know how the business runs, you know the process, you know the questions to ask, you know what are the outcomes that we're trying to drive for. So as Eric said, that's still incredibly important. If we can make the roles easier and more efficient, then everyone gets to work on higher value work.
And in 500 years, when they don't need us anymore, we won't be.
There you go.
I think we're just all getting in that interesting times, and we are working towards making it easier and more. Like, people are getting more smarter with what you guys are building. Just on this, actually, I have an interesting question for you, Eric. Since you and Alteryx team work together, I'm pretty sure there might be a lot of use cases that you might have. Any any example or any use case that you can remember where you and Alteryx worked together and delivered, and would like to share it with our audience?
Yeah, I got a couple of different variations on that theme. I mean, we help people upskill fast. Like that's really what a lot of what we do. So we run a lot of programs called an AIP, which is Alteryx Innovation Program. Oof. Yeah, I'm glad I was right. I was like, oh, Eric, you said AIP, you better say it right. But a lot of that is like, how do we get people to touch this and become believers, right? And so we work on those. I mean, probably 50 of them a year to help companies touch it, feel it, make it real, make sure that it's not BS, right? Make sure that they, like maybe somebody else could use it, but what about me, right? And so we do a ton of those, and those, again, the smiles, the excitement that we build during those processes, which then, of course, turns into large-scale projects for us. It turns into large-scale licenses for them, and it's great. And the clients are happy. I always say, like, I'm fine sending an invoice as long as people are happy to pay it. Yeah. Like, I don't want to send an invoice people aren't happy to pay. Even if it's like, oh, that's a lot of money. It's like, yeah, but I'm glad my toilet's fixed. It's like, right?
Right, exactly.
Thanks, plumber.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's one thing that we do. We did a project, and sometimes this is another piece that I tell people with Alteryx, is it is easy, but you do have to be careful that the people have the time to get good at it. Yeah. Right? And so sometimes when you go to a group and they're working 45, 50 hours a week, and you're like, oh, hey, download this, install it, put it on your thing, and then learn it. And then, you know what I mean? Like, when am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the projects that we do are accelerants to that, to be able to automate those processes. So one group we worked with, they were doing their month-end close. It was going to be, I guess it was quarter-end close. Anyways, they were going to do their quarterly earnings report, and they almost always did it on the week of Thanksgiving. But the problem with the week of Thanksgiving is no one's listening.
Exactly.
And so they wanted to do their close faster, and so they wanted to get it done the week before Thanksgiving. We worked with them full time, like knocking out all their processes. First, we decoupled all their stuff, right? Looked at what all happens during this process. Where can we add different tools and technologies in order to speed it up? Alteryx was a key player in this. And we took they had the fastest month-end close in 111 years.
Nice.
Since they started. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Exactly.
Big deal. It's a really big deal.
They didn't close 1 week before Thanksgiving. They closed 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. It's never been done. Like the CFO is like, I don't even, another quote was, this was the best and easiest software implementation we've ever done.
Wow.
And so anyways, there's pieces of the partnership which are helping people use this. There are pieces of the partnership that are implementing it and making sure it gets used really well. And then when you do that, guess who wants to learn it? Every single person, because they just saw what it did.
Yeah.
And then another piece of the partnership is there's always stuff that you're going to find in every piece of software that you're like, oh, I wish it did this other thing, right? And you saw all the stuff on the keynote that they're building. They're spending a lot of time, money, energy, effort. Really smart people are working on some really cool things. There's always going to be something, there's some connector that doesn't exist. There's going to be some administration thing, right?
Always.
And so one of the things that's been great about the partnership is we've been building platforms and technologies and solutions on top of Alteryx to help make it better, right? To help bring things to the people who need it. And so one of the things to try to make things easier is administration and governance and things, they're not the sexiest part of the world of software and technology. And so, but it needs to get done, right? If somebody says like, hey, what's hitting this Oracle database? You have to have an answer. Hey, if we change this, what's going to break? You have to have an answer. And so we built WAM and Watchtower to help extend and make Alteryx easier for the people who have hundreds or thousands of workflows and are trying to manage it. So I don't know, the partnership is honestly, it's so deep. We're on the marketplace, but the goal again, the more we help them, the more they help us, the more we help clients, the more we all win, and then I get to send invoices, and people are like, you know what, I'm happy to pay that. And I say,
exactly.
I love that story, and especially the fact that you're raising employee morale, right?
Yeah.
People are happier to be at work when they don't have to work through Thanksgiving week.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you're making a difference.
The first project I ever did was with our accounting team internally. And there was a process that they were doing. It was a manual reconciliation. It took around 8 hours each time. And our month-end close process is no joke. Our month-end close process kept getting longer. Yeah. And pretty soon it was like becoming unacceptably long. Yeah, untenable. And it was like, holy crap, what are we going to do? And I'm like, why is this taking so long? Shout out to April. And April and I sat down. She'd never seen Alteryx before. I said, walk me through your process. And she said, okay, I run this report, I put it in Excel. I run this report, I put it in Excel. And then now they don't really talk, so I've got to get them all to talk.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, okay, and I'm on my computer, she's on hers, and I'm like, can I give me access to those files? So I start building an Alteryx workflow, and by the end of it, and no joke, 0.6 seconds is how long it takes to run that workflow. And versus the 8 hours. When I clicked the button and did it and showed her the output, she was like, well, what is that? And I was like, that's the process. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, these are the two spreadsheets. This is all the stuff you said you did. And this is the end. And you click the button and it goes, and Alteryx makes this fun bong noise.
Yeah.
Bong, right? And it says 0.6 seconds. And she's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Right? And like her mind was blown. And she's been an Alteryx lover since then.
Yeah.
We just moved her into client success because she wants to help clients be successful with Alteryx and some of the other technologies we use.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
super fun.
Yeah,
Changing
exactly.
lives.
Changing lives and saving time is one of the most important things in our lives. For everyone out there who's working and they kind of feel that, oh, there's so much time that kind of is taken over by, our manual work.
Yeah.
If you guys are automating, it's a game changer. Okay, quick question for both of you. In terms of the partnership, how's it helping the Alteryx users in terms of the innovation and, the expanded capabilities as well? Any thoughts, Paula, Eric?
In terms of the partnership with Capitalize?
Capitalize.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he hit on one really big one with their products that helps with the governance environment of Alteryx. So as people grow their investment with Alteryx, as they mature on their analytics journey, there's always a need for good governance. There's always a question around how do we make sure that we're managing this? How do we make sure we have good understanding of everything that's happening in the environment? And so, their software helps us really bring that governance to our customers, to give them that confidence that as they scale, it's all responsibly, it's all managed, and they can feel confident in, being able to live in whatever regulatory compliance or just overall enterprise governance practices that they live in. So I think that's a big one. I think the other piece is just, as Eric was walking through that last example, the initial question after you first talk to people about what we can do is how and where in my specific work should I be doing this?
Very important.
Right? Yeah. And so giving people a clear use case to work on, walking them through very specifically, the different data sources, the different data tools, what this reporting could look like, is just huge. And they're exceptional at helping our customers to know how to do that, bring on users, onboard them, help them with that quick time to value that I mentioned earlier. And we really value that because we want everybody working with data. We want this analytics opportunity to be fully democratized across the enterprise. And so, our partnership with Capitalize gives us the opportunity to do that.
This is awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Eric, anything?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. It's meeting, a lot of it's meeting the customers where they are and where they are on their journey. And I use this analogy a lot. If you only used handsaws to build things, right? And I'm likening handsaws similar to Excel. It's pretty safe. Like handsaws are pretty safe. It'd be really hard to lose a finger or an arm with a handsaw. However, Alteryx is not a handsaw, right? It is not slow. It is very fast. It is more akin to a table saw or a bandsaw. It's doing the same exact job you were just doing in Excel, but it's doing it, instead of in 8 hours, it's doing it in 0.6 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. When you move from handsaws to power saws, you're going to want to put some different rules and some different training and it's guardrails. A different environment, some guardrails. Yeah. And to me, when people talk about governance, it's like one of those words that I don't even think half the people really even understand what we're talking about. But if there was only one person on Earth with a car, you wouldn't need stoplights and roundabouts and
so
intersections,
nice, Eric. Oh my
right?
God.
We don't have that. You go out to Las Vegas, there better be some lines on the road. There better be some stoplights. We better know what to do. And as you go faster and faster and faster, and as you have more people going faster and faster, you do have to figure out what those rules of the road are going to be, because what you don't want is someone to lose a finger. You do not want somebody who's using this amazing technology to do the wrong thing by accident and have nobody paying attention. And so to me, governance is just, it's it changes as you change, as you use it more, as you go faster. You just have to have more people taking a look at what you're doing, and in the beginning, probably low governance. Honestly, let people explore, let people have fun, let people try things. And then as they get going faster and more people start moving and things get more critical and important, you better have your arms around this thing because it can get out of control.
Right.
And that's what a great partner, we've seen it. We've seen it 100 times before, thousands of times before. And so having a guide, whether it's a guide from Alteryx, a guide from Capitalize, or one of the other partners or whatever, I just think it's really important that we're adapting and we're moving along this journey together, and that the goal remains help people make things faster, make it more efficient, make people successful, help people not have to work on Sunday.
Yes,
exactly.
I love that. So we're actually close to our time, so we've got time for one last question.
Sure.
It's a question for everyone here, Robert, you included.
Let's do it.
All right.
Your favorite thing about Inspire? We'll start with Eric and we'll go down the line.
Yeah,
One or two words.
Yeah, sure. Oh, wow.
I know.
1 or 2 words. It's exciting. Love the people. Love getting to see all these folks once a year.
For me, it's the Mavericks community, without a doubt. The interconnectivity of our users and our customers sharing ideas and best practices. I just get so much inspiration myself from it.
I think for me, it's like reality and innovation, which Alteryx bring to the customers, community, and every one of us.
Absolutely, and I think for me it's the energy, the networking, and I love hearing about the partnerships, and especially the customers and their actual use cases. Like, so how are you using this thing?
Yeah.
And then it does lead to an inspirational talk. So
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for our time here today, Alteryx Inspire 2024. Hopefully I'll see you both next year.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be
Thanks for
super
chatting with
fun.
us.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Well,
chatting.
Thank you.
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
everyone.
Hi, this is Kirk Bourne here from Alteryx Inspire 2024, and I'm here to talk today with Asa Willick, who's the VP of AI and Machine Learning at Alteryx. We're going to talk about some pretty interesting stuff, but the very first question I have is a challenge question to you.
Okay.
It's one that I always fail, which is tell us about a little bio about yourself in under 30 seconds.
Okay, I am Asa Willock. I live in Berkeley, California. I've been working in enterprise software for over 25 years, and I am fired up to be working at the intersection of analytics and AI.
Fantastic, you won the first challenge. So we're here today to talk about the survey that Alteryx conducted about generative AI. So first of all, tell us why and who was in the survey.
Yeah, great question. So we surveyed over 3,000 IT leaders from 11 different countries, crossing geos, and we also surveyed 2,000 members of the general public to get a read on the survey on the sentiment of generative AI as being used in just the public today. We've been doing this, I think this is our third survey in market right now, and it's really revealed the trend of adoption that we've seen over time in generative AI that's really exciting. Some of the things that we've seen jumping out are really interesting. I'm looking forward to diving into them with you.
Fantastic. Well, I know one of the biggest results of this survey was how businesses are already extracting tremendous value from Gen AI. So what do you think about that? I mean,
Yeah.
it just exploded out of the gate, and here we are, producing value already.
Totally, it's really interesting. So what we've seen developing on this one is we always perceived that there'd be enormous value in generative AI, but what we've seen starting to develop is that those businesses who've been engaged with it, almost 90% of them have already seen substantial value. They tick the highest box of almost 45% of the time of substantial value discovered there, which is outstanding. They've done up to maybe 3 total pilots that they've embraced so far, and to compound that factor, they found it easier to use. More than half marked it that it was easier than expected to deploy. So we're seeing a substantial uptick in the number who are moving on to deploying this in production, which is a really exciting development to see. In fact, 2/3 have mentioned it was starting to change their roles and it's starting to change the roles of their teams.
That's amazing. So this whole question of the roles is really interesting because when we talk about democratization of AI, democratization of analytics, all this stuff, it's not real unless it's really across the whole enterprise.
You got it.
I presume what you're describing then is you're really seeing that with generative AI, how that's changing in the organization. So what sort of aspects of that do you see? I mean, who's leading the innovation in AI Gen AI right now?
It's a great question. So we also sampled that in the survey, and what we saw jumping out was that IT leaders are by far starting to take the mantle in terms of driving things forward. Over half, I think it was 55%, are driving through IT and their central data science teams. And we've seen that morph over time where really it started as a CEO and board level vision, and now it's moving something into those central data science and IT teams. They're starting to lead the fray. But it also goes farther down as we step further down into the stack, and we're expecting to start to see the growing green shoots of that picked up by lines of business and other different dimensions. But really we're starting to see IT and data science lead the charge, which is a great development to see. It's the steps moving into production out of the original idea of actually deploying this technology.
So would you say somewhere in there there's actually a shift in individuals' roles besides the shift in where Gen AI is focused in the business, but also specific individuals? Are their roles changing?
Yeah, I think that's true. So the individuals in members of those teams are seeing these things change as well. I think I mentioned earlier that we saw 2/3 of the leaders who were driving this from an IT perspective say that their roles are changing. It's also their team members' roles are changing. We're seeing commensurate where, again, about 67% said, my role is changing based on the nature of needing to incorporate AI into my job and into the jobs of those who I allow self-service access to data and analytics. It's really an exciting time.
Well, I'll tell you what's really amazing to me about all this revolution that's happening is it used to be you could get a college education and then that skill and talent and knowledge you had could carry you through a whole career. But now things are changing so dramatically. 40 years from now, that's going to look completely different.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is going to really impact how the general public not only views this, but how they adopt it in terms of AI, building AI literacy, building AI skills, using Gen AI, and very non-traditional roles where you'd expect to see a technology employed. So given that in your survey, you had thousands of general public responses, so tell us a bit about what you learned from that.
Yeah, it framed a really interesting juxtaposition, and I'm glad that you raised that one. So the general public at large was slightly less ready to embrace the capabilities around AI. I think they're equally optimistic about it improving their lives, but they also have a healthy degree of skepticism and concern about how this is going to be used, versus we saw exactly the same thing on the business context that start to evolve as they start to really capture that value. And so what I think we see is the narrative starting to come together as corporations start to evolve this into what they do every day. And hopefully we'll start to see the same thing evolve for the general public at large. So we're really encouraged by what we see as, okay, there's an evolution of starting to realize what the narrative is about, where the value will mature, and we think that will actually ultimately end up in the public's hands as well.
That's amazing, because like you, I'm sure, we've all talked with our neighbors and friends who are outside of this sphere about Gen AI this past year and the various tools that are emerging. And of course, those conversations sometimes revolve around fear and job change, et cetera.
Right.
So that's a surprise to me, what you just said of how that's sort of moving the needle a little bit to more positive feeling.
Right, and the majority of them are optimistic, right? That was the part that really came out to me. There's an awesome degree of hope that speaks to both the general public and the enterprise at large, but we just see it ticking up as time goes on, with the expectation that some of the initial concerns really won't manifest themselves, or will manifest themselves in different, smaller ways that can be overcome on the way to something that really offers us all a lot of value, which is exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Well, as a final takeaway, was there any one big surprise you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, so I love data, right? And I really love to spend time with this one. And I've been a product person my entire life. And what I thought was the most interesting was that when you start to look at what departments and what use cases have embraced things first, some things aren't super surprising. You just started to engage this in working in call center arenas, or you're working this on content generation. It's things we've all heard about. But the ones that have taken the most time to embrace are actually the arena that I come from. Product development, research and development are some of the ones who have the lowest access right out of the gate to R&D. I think we're making predictions going into the future. We'll start to see an uptick in those in the R&D departments and the product production, start to weave AI into what they do more and more, because the impact there is that much more substantial.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Asa, for that. It just makes me realize that I'm disappointed in myself. I forgot to bring my favorite t-shirt to this Alteryx Inspire conference, which is Data Lovers Are Us.
That's right. Let's go.
Thank you.
All right.
Sounded all right? Cool. Okay, let's go. Hi, I'm Susan Walsh, the classification guru, fixer of dirty data, and I'm here again with Ed Green. We met here last year.
You did? Yep.
Yes, and I think we need to clear the elephant in the room. I still haven't had my invite to MTC yet.
You're welcome
lost in the post.
anytime you want to come over.
So welcome back. For those of you that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about your role at McLaren?
Yeah, so I'm head of commercial technology. So that means I look after all of the systems that help us as a team go racing, all of the ways we talk to our fans, and all of the systems that we use to drive our data analytics behind the scenes at McLaren.
So just a few things then.
A few things.
No wonder you need Alteryx. And how does McLaren Racing utilise Alteryx to improve reliability within areas such as sustainability, which is such a huge topic now?
It's massive, and so is the data that comes for sustainability. It's not like the car. We don't get real-time reporting on many of the systems, from fuel cards to electric consumption in the building through to generators, fuel, things we use at track. So you can imagine that data comes from lots and lots of different places across the team. And so we're using Alteryx to help our sustainability team crunch a lot of that data, bring in third-party data sources, and really help us understand everything from scope 1 all the way through to scope 3, how we're actually using resources that we go racing with. So it's an absolute game changer for producing our sustainability report, which has just gone live recently, but a lot of the data you'll see in there is possible thanks to Alteryx helping us combine all those data sets.
That's amazing. I guess that's something that increasingly you have to track and measure, and especially in F1, you know, there's a huge focus on that.
Yeah, a really big focus for the team, and I think it's a journey. It doesn't mean we're finished. It doesn't mean we're we're sort of at the end of our journey, but it's something that, like the car, you want to measure more often. If we were getting data from the car once a month or once a quarter, we wouldn't be able to make them too late.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully we can see Alteryx taking a step with us. It's been fantastic to see the sustainability team learn and do more themselves, but something that we can keep learning from as a race team.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, well, let's talk racing, because that's my favourite topic. Obviously, in any F1 race, there's pit stops, they're extremely important. Teams need to optimise their performance and enable faster decision making to bring down those times. And we all know it's like literally hundredths of a second that make the difference. And what's going to help with that, I guess, is data. In 2023, McLaren set up a pit stop world record for the fastest ever pit stop, which is no mean feat.
No, it's pretty impressive.
And, it's, that's in history. It's even in Guinness World Records. And, how did you turn to Alteryx for analysis on that to help with your pit stops and achieve that?
Well, it starts when you look at all of the data you get across the race team from the moment the car starts conception in a virtual wind tunnel, which is computational fluid dynamics.
Yeah.
You've then got the real life wind tunnel, which is producing, a huge amount of data from physical sensors.
Yeah.
And then all the way onto the race cars themselves, where we're collecting, just last weekend when we were racing, we collected over 250 million data points on the cars themselves.
That's phenomenal.
So much effort and so much energy, and all the smarts of the team and the aerodynamicists and the designers and the engineers is going in to optimize the car to, save 2-3 tenths of a second wherever we can. So you're doing all of that effort and energy, and we're using data to drive that. Yeah. You then turn your attention to other areas where you can see improvements come, and pit stops was a really natural environment for us. So we started the exploration of getting data from the wheel guns in our practice setup. We've also looked at how we blend in video. Where else can we put sensors? And so we started, really exploring back at base. We've got that world record time, and the team did a phenomenal job. And that's not just the crew you see at the track.
Yeah.
That's the medical team, the physios, the engineering design. It's a huge team effort. You put a bit of technology in there to help it along the way. And so I think, our attention is now turned back at base into practice areas.
Yeah. How
can we get data? Where else can we get data from? And, that's not just sensors, that's also video and other bits of data. So we're really excited. It's an area we want to keep pushing. And, we're doing all this energy to make the car as fast aerodynamically. Then when it comes to pit stops, you can also save time and seconds as well.
Yeah, no, and something I always say is that context is really important. So if you're just looking at the car and excluding all the data from outside of tunnels, etc., but also just having the ability to process all that data as well must be so it's a competitive advantage, I would say.
Totally. And in the race weekend, the car will move about 12 meters in 1 second, which is amazing. But then when you
move that faster.
But then when you've got all the latency coming from systems, you have to start building that in, and that's we also we have to rely on the data.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Sometimes I think you look at the racetrack, and I always look at weather. It's really important. It helps us dictate strategy. But you see, we've got a lot of work on weather radars. We're doing a lot of work with spotters around the track.
Yeah.
We've got people stood on tall buildings looking at cloud patterns moving in. And you think a weather radar is telling you one thing, but it could be something totally different. Yeah. Then you see, the team on the pit wall, they still do this. You've got all the data in the world, but they still put their hand out. They still want to feel the rain on their palm.
Yeah.
And it's how much do you trust that data, and how much do you have on your instinct as well. So it's a delicate balance to get right.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it. There's always that element of people involved, no matter how much technology is around. That's my champion for that. So in what ways does McLaren leverage Alteryx to prioritize driver safety then? Because that is so important, particularly with optimizing vehicle parts.
Yeah.
We've not seen it in F1, but we know with in the air there's been issues with parts and things. So I guess it's a focus that everyone is looking at.
Yeah, I think, for us, that's around the part reliability.
Yeah.
And the team at the factory have just done an unbelievable job at adopting Alteryx. And they've built that into their workflow to look at reliability of parts, so understanding and starting to model, the parts that are on the car, what's our expected life, what stress are they going under, how do we think they will perform, when should we be anticipating a replacement part, And even that feeds into sustainability as well. We've got better data to make decisions around when to manufacture. It's probably one of the most exciting use cases for us to see, Alteryx down in the production line,
Yeah.
and seeing how when we're producing, we don't run big volumes of parts, we're producing low numbers for Oscar and Lando's car.
Yeah.
To start to see the team feeding in information, start to get predictive. And the team that have developed that backup base is just phenomenal. And so they're feeding in lots of information from our ERP system, of our tools and scheduling of what we've got to produce and when. We're looking at reliability data, bringing that in. And in some cases, we couldn't even open these data sets 18 months ago.
Yeah.
The first thing that Alteryx did was just give us visibility.
And actually, that's a quick question for you is, I guess the team adopting that change in that tool, have you found that quite an easy process? Have they embraced it?
I think, we're really good at embracing technology. We love data.
Right space.
But it's like any other business, right? You've got challenges of how to find those champions. So, we've had some awesome people in the team. They've adopted Alteryx. And I just love that we've never done post-it notes in meeting rooms. You've brought your data with you. We've spent an hour inside Alteryx. We've built a workflow. And I think people leave being really curious.
Yeah.
For us, our reliability team, they could just see the data for the first time. These big data sets coming from machine tools, they could just visualize it. So Alteryx is key to that. But more so, people get hands-on with data. They get curious. They can see results quickly. They can follow their workbook. And once that's in place, then that helps with adoption. But a lot of effort goes into it. It's not just as easy as turning it on. So
no, yeah, definitely. And my final question for you is, I'm sure you travel to all sorts of races with, F1, IndyCar, Extreme E. There's so many different types of racing and everything in between. But what is your favorite race event?
Oh gosh. I've had people bring back cameras and empty sand out of them from the desert. That looked really fun. My favorite is Austin.
Is that F1?
Formula One, Austin.
Yeah.
It's probably the race I've been to the most often. It's a technology hub here in the US, so really big for a lot of our partners. But who doesn't love a good bit of barbecue and some dueling pianos on 6th Street?
Yeah, because I do hear a lot that a lot of the drivers love Austin, and I wondered what it is. It's the barbecues.
The barbecues, dueling pianos. We've had drivers arriving to track on horseback. We've had everything in Austin.
Yeah.
So it remains a team favorite, but it's also a big tech hub, and so it's always a busy weekend.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
We've had a great chat. I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Hey everyone, hey, welcome to the floor of Mavericks Nation at Alteryx Inspire. We're here at the Venetian Resort, and I'm joined by some awesome people. We're gonna have a good discussion around data education, talk about a new partnership that Alteryx has established with DataCamp. So I'm joined by Brandy Beals, who is the co-host of the Data Career Summit along with me, as well as Jason Belland, who is the VP of Global Sparked Education Programs at Alteryx. And also joined by special guest here, Joe Cornelissen, who is the co-founder and CEO of DataCamp. So this conversation is actually a perfect follow-up to Brandy and I were at the Alteryx Sparked Education Summit a couple days ago. Brandy, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think Alteryx Sparked is doing a phenomenal job bringing together both educators, students, and industry professionals, and giving them the skills needed to kind of, break into the data field. And I'm curious, a bit about the advantages of taking learning beyond the traditional classroom.
Well, I think, first of all, thank you for being with us at the Education Summit. It's awesome to have you with us in the room with 40 institutions represented from around the world. So, learning is changing, and Jonathan knows this as well. Learning is changing. Lifelong learning is really an imperative at this point. So, I think everyone's thinking about not degree versus credential, but degrees and credentials and non-traditional learning paths. And really, I spent yesterday talking with executives from around the world about what they're looking for. All of them have an urgent need right now to upskill their own talent. And so right now, I think, you may have a degree from a few years ago. Really adding to that only increases your value in the market.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Totally. And maybe just to add to that, I think if you take a step back and go back 40 years ago, everyone had to get computer skills, right?
True.
And then 20 years ago, everybody had to learn how to work with software and the internet. And there's been so much change in the data and AI and analytics space that right now everyone needs to acquire data and AI skills. And so that's what we're hearing from a lot of our clients. And the traditional educational system is great, but people need to adapt to that change, and so there's a need for continuous education. And I think online education is especially applicable here because you can do it from anywhere, you can do it at any time, you can do it at your own pace, and you can do it at scale. So if you have tens of thousands of people at your organization that need to have the basics in data and AI literacy, you need a scalable solution, right? And so yeah, that's why I'm excited to be here and talk about the partnership.
Totally, awesome. Yeah, we're excited to sit down and chat with you further. So Jason, question for you. Specifically, what opportunities or what advantages did you see for Alteryx Sparked education programs to work with and align with DataCamp?
Yeah, so I mean, Joe just said it a minute ago, scale, and it's all about reaching learners. We think about, number one for us is democratizing access to not just Alteryx education, just analytics education, making sure it's easy, accessible for anyone, anywhere to learn. Working with DataCamp and working with Joe's team gives us exactly that. More individuals globally can access analytics education. And I see this, I have the privilege of seeing this on probably a weekly basis, individuals changing their lives, which means they're changing the lives of their families and their communities by upskilling. I think this really kind of supercharges our ability to do that through this partnership.
That's awesome. Yeah, we hear stories like that all the time with participants in our events that we host, and that's really cool. I think Alteryx, along with other data tools and data education in general, has been life-changing for us in our careers too, so I totally agree with that. That's awesome that you can bring it now to a greater scale to the masses, so really cool.
I mean, I guess similar personal story as a user of both Alteryx and DataCamp. It's really great to see this partnership. So, Joe, I'm curious why you decided to start offering Alteryx on your platform.
Yeah, to be honest, our mission is to democratize data and AI skills, and so we want to teach all the skills that are relevant for somebody's career, and all the skills that are relevant for organizations around the world when it comes to data and AI. So honestly, it's been long overdue. Alteryx is obviously one of the leaders in the analytics space, and we've had a lot of requests for Alteryx content on DataCamp over the years, and especially in recent time. So I'm super excited that we got together and we were able to launch this partnership. And for those who don't know DataCamp, what's unique about the approach is that you actually get to use Alteryx in your browser. You don't have to set up anything, you don't have to install anything. You can immediately get started and you can learn by doing. And I think that's a really great way for people to get started with Alteryx. But there's going to be curriculum in the future for more advanced users as well.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you mentioned the fact that it's all in the browser, because as a Python user or somebody, especially initially, installing Python or any sort of open source tool, it's quite intimidating.
Yeah.
And DataCamp made it really easy to figure out right away whether whether Python was the thing I really wanted to learn, and break down those barriers. So so thank you. I personally
and I love you said it can be intimidating, because I think one of the things we really try to do is take away all the friction and some of the fear that a lot of people have. Right? There's a lot of people who don't think this is for them, who think this is really complicated. Maybe it's only for PhDs, and that's not true at all.
I felt the same way when I got into the field,
So part of our mission is just take away that fear and that intimidation, make it super smooth for people to get started.
I think this is what you're saying is so critical too, because what we're seeing across businesses, but also across universities, is really analytics is everywhere, across every job function.
Absolutely.
Certainly accounting, finance, supply chain, but talking to a journalism major, you can't be a journalist in 2024 if you don't know something about data and analytics. We want to empower those individuals.
Love it. That's cool. So I guess the follow-up on this, question for both of you. I'd like to hear each of your perspectives on this, because you've both been in the industry, you're leaders now in the industry. There's a lot of students here, there's folks out there looking to break into the field. If you could kind of go back in time, what advice would you have for students, if they're looking to get into the field? Like, we know there's awesome programs that Spark has. We know we have the new courses coming out through DataCamp. We know about like the datathons that are out there. We heard a lot about those this week that students can participate in. But like, what advice, I guess, would you have just in general in terms of how to get into the field?
I mean, So absolutely join DataCamp. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's super easy.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because you can learn Alteryx, but also any number of other technologies while you're there. You can really complete your tool set and your portfolio, which is great.
Yeah.
But if you are intimidated or you're like me, an English major, not a data person, I would think about what are you passionate about?
Totally.
McLaren's right behind us over here. There's other, you have a favorite baseball team, you have whatever the case is. Anything you are passionate about has analytics behind it in 2024, and will continue to have analytics behind it. Start with what do you care about. You care about social issues, homelessness. Start with that and start thinking about, okay, well, how do I kind of pull that apart and think about in data, apply yourself toward that. You'll be surprised at actually how much you do know about data and analytics once your mind is activated on something that is a passion for you.
I love it.
Totally. I think the number one thing I was going to say was you have to figure out how to stay motivated and create a habit of learning. I think that's some advice I would have given my younger self. Like try to create a cadence at which you start learning. Do you need that additional half an hour on TikTok? Or is your future self going to be happy if you spend that additional half an hour on DataCamp? So find ways to stay motivated, and I think finding areas that you want to apply analytics to that you truly care about is a great piece of advice. The second point of advice I would give young students is start building your portfolio. A lot of employers are not only interested in knowing whether you have the technical skills, but they really want to know, can you solve a business problem? Can you tell a story? And building a portfolio is a great way to convey that. There's various ways to do it. We're now making it easy for people to build a portfolio on DataCamp as well. But I think in general, find your areas of passion and then build interesting analysis around that.
Yeah, this is awesome because we often at Alteryx we talk about helping learners to question, understand, and solve with data. And oftentimes I think solving is the least interesting part of that, and questioning and understanding is the more interesting part. So what you're saying, I think, helps students demonstrate that it's not just about getting to the right answer. I know how to work with the messy data under a timeline and kind of like just get stuff done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love points that both of you made, Jason. And I love the advice of think about what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and then be a data-driven version of that. You're going to be probably adding 10x the value in that field or discipline, that you're interested in if you become good with data skills and you can become like a really good data-driven person in that role. So I love that advice. And then also a couple of things that you said. One thing in particular, you mentioned that, Joe, you can actually create a portfolio using some of the work that you've done on DataCamp. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So basically, you can take courses on DataCamp where you're actually using Alteryx or Python or SQL or whatnot, but that's a kind of a constrained environment.
Okay.
What we encourage our students to do is take that knowledge and then find your own data set or use one of the data sets we have available.
Cool.
And solve problems. And we have some competitions they can participate in. But we also encourage them to answer open-ended questions, and you can create that online and just add it to your profile.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And then I love the advice too of recycle 30 minutes per day where you're scrolling and apply that to data education. Yeah. I mean, gosh, 30 minutes times 365 days in a year, you're going to be a totally different place, right?
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And DataCamp makes it's so easy to do it in those bite-sized 30-minute chunks as opposed to like hours and hours of time. But again, this concept of like, working on something you're passionate about, but then taking the skills that you're learning and applying it to something, and that really helps employers understand not only the hard skills that you have, but how do you connect that to a business problem and add value.
That's so important.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about students and the amazing offerings that both of you have for them, but maybe looking at the other side of the coin, what are some of the benefits that you've seen both from Alteryx customers and your enterprise customers in the pipeline that you've built for them?
Yeah, the Spark education program is really set up to help close the talent pipeline gap with our customers. So it's awesome. We've worked with almost 200,000 students now over the last couple of years. Those students they're getting jobs with customers, they're getting internships with customers, they're accelerating their onboarding time with customers who now can teach them about the business versus the tools. And we have 2 new platforms now to help folks connect in new ways. So one is a LinkedIn Talent Alliance. So you just got course certified, which is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And so if you're course certified, you can join the LinkedIn Talent Alliance and then connect with our customers there who are posting jobs, and you can ask questions and make yourself seen in the community.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then separately, we have Alteryx Mentor Connect. And this is anybody. If you just learned about Alteryx yesterday, or if you're course certified, anybody can join that and connect with our customers for career advice, technical skills, that kind of thing. And we just had over 300 customers sign up to be mentors this week here in Las Vegas, which is pretty awesome, and I think speaks to this incredible Alteryx customer community that has been built over the last 27 years of people who have had their lives changed, they really care, and they want to give back.
That's awesome. So you had a lot of mentors signed up, because I looked at the site before the conference. You added 300 more.
We added about 300, yeah.
That's awesome.
So are you a mentor?
I'm not signed up. Pressure's on. I guess I'm about to be. I'm about to be.
Yeah,
But
that's incredible.
I think the story there too, though, is that for those listening, if you're looking to get in the field, or maybe you just got into the field, you're using Alteryx, for your current job, or you're going to use it for a job that you're looking for. The fact that there's folks out there that have used it for real business, use cases that are willing to help you. That's something that we didn't have when we got in the field. We were talking about that earlier. What a tremendous resource. What an advantage to have,
It's awesome, and really the value is bi-directional here. It's great for the mentor and the mentee. So
Right,
it's,
totally.
Great conversations. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe to talk about it from the Datagem side, we have more and more large enterprise customers right now, and where historically we've been very well known for our Python SQL curriculum, and we've been expanding that most recently with the Alteryx partnership. What a big trend and a big area where we've seen tremendous value being created is organizations that decide that they want the whole organization, the whole workforce to level up, and in the areas of data and AI literacy. So even a few years ago, forward-thinking organizations were kind of thinking around, how do we upskill everyone in the organization? How do we make sure they can work with data, they can understand data, they can tell stories with data? The acceleration in generative AI has created a situation where there's a tremendously urgent need for AI literacy or across the organization. So think about AI ethics, but also think about how to productively use AI across the organization in a safe way. And so we've seen several of our large clients roll out Datagem to tens of thousands of people and up-level the whole organization when it comes to data and AI
That's
literacy.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I see value from the individual to leaders at the organization to the
100%.
organization itself, so everyone wins with something like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love it. Well, it's been awesome talking with you both and with Brandy.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we're super excited to see where this partnership goes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Susan Walsh, the classification guru, fixer of dirty data, and I am so pleased to have with me Elsa Langenwater from RGA. She has won a Mavericks Award for data modeling.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be a model? And an
amazing.
award-winning modeler.
It's great.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I work for a group. It's called the Business Empowerment Center of Excellence.
Oh, wow.
So we actually sit within IT.
Yeah.
But we help the business. So it's a little contradictory, but we really are here to try to get self-service analytics to our business.
Yeah.
And try to really work through there. So we help with Tableau, Power BI, Alteryx. And so I'm really excited to see that we got this reward, because we really do try to have our customers and our clients see that self-service analytics, and we do think of our users
You
as
do
those
say we,
clients.
and that's lovely, but it's you too. You've done a lot. I mean, how many people are you actually servicing in the business?
Yeah, so we have
Supporting?
300 Alteryx users.
Wow.
Yeah, and
so that's a lot of potential questions and queries.
Yeah, and so we have 300 users around the globe, and so we really try to make sure that they feel like they have a community, people to work with, and so that's really what the award's for, is our Center of Excellence.
So with winning that award, can you share a little bit about how you've helped with proliferate analytics at RGA? That is a mouthful.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is we want our business users to feel heard. I mean, traditionally, IT might feel like it's on the other side of the wall, and we really want to make sure that they feel like they can come to us and talk to us. So we created a community around it. We call it a hub and spoke model, but we're the hub of knowledge they can come to, and then they're able to have that community. So we do things like Analytics Day. We did an Analytics Day last year. We're going to do escape rooms next month for them to do.
I love that. It's such a great way to get people engaged and learn in a different way and just get on board with things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So we are always just trying to find ways that we can get them to want to learn and take time out of their day job to really learn how to use Alteryx and other tools like it.
Do you find you have common queries from your users? Like, is there one thing above everything else that, is it like turn it off and on is the general problem that you have to fix, or, is it just the blocks aren't working? Or?
I think it's just connecting to different data sources.
Yeah.
I mean, every data source has its own challenges and differences, and then being able to be a hub where we've connected to that same database for a different group and connecting different groups together that might be doing similar things. I think it really helps so that things are more reusable for all of our users.
Yeah. And how have you been able to forge a strong collaborative relationship with your IT teammates? Because you say you're sitting under IT. I guess that makes it easier for you?
Yeah, I mean, it helps when they're your coworkers that are, nearby. But I think the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we have controls in place and we know what our users are doing. And I think having a center of excellence model, we're able to actually reach out to our users, understand what they're doing. And IT feels a little bit better because they can kind of understand when does it need to be IT, when can the business do it, and bring that self-service.
Yeah, so they're on board. And
yeah.
I mean, have you worked anywhere else where it's been a very different kind of
I haven't,
setup?
But I've definitely heard of it. And I think we're lucky that we started in IT.
Yeah.
Brought Alteryx in via IT and then brought it out to our business users.
Definitely. So this is day 2 of Inspire. It's been a fantastic event.
Yeah.
But what's been your favorite bit?
I mean, I have to say sneaks. I love the sneaks during the keynote.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always looking to where is Alteryx going in the future? What products are they going to bring?
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes the product managers know a lot of cool ideas that they would love to see in Alteryx. So
do you get to help come up and contribute with ideas for that as well, or?
I mean, definitely as a client of Alteryx, we definitely voice our opinion and have kind of things we'd love to see in the roadmap, and we've seen some of those be implemented before. So that's really helpful, and it's just nice to see the direction of where Alteryx might go and have. I love sneaks because it's like a live voting, and you can actually vote towards what you want to see in the product.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So it's an amazing way for us to get our voice out.
Yeah, I've really been impressed with Ada and Copilot as well. Like, do you think that will have a useful
I definitely think, we're exploring where AI can be implemented with us. I think it's obviously new, and we're trying to understand controls and governance behind it.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to see, and I think, every tech company is needing to start to look at how you can implement AI within all of these products. So.
You are the role model this year, so what advice would you give to people who are looking to win a Mavericks Award next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, it takes a village. It's not just me, and I think especially with this award, it's about the community and getting people excited about Alteryx within your own company. So whatever got you excited at Inspire, bring that back. We started a whole ACES program internally because one of our users was inspired by Inspire, came back and really started to bring that in. So I think whatever you learn here that makes you kind of have a light bulb moment, bringing that back to your company. And again, it takes a village and also takes a lot of time. So you just kind of devote it throughout the year, and next year you might have an award here.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
Of course.
This is your opportunity. It could be you standing here next year, so why not get involved?
Hi, this is Kirk Bourne from Las Vegas. Now, normally we hear that whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that's not true at Alteryx Inspire. We're here to learn about all the cool stuff and exciting things that are happening here. And one of the exciting announcements this week is this new partnership between Infosys and Alteryx. So here to talk with me today is Sunil from Infosys, who's going to talk with me about the generative AI and AI offerings that the two companies partnering together will bring to the community. What are the current trends that are impacting businesses and companies today in the AI space?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kurt, for having me on your show. It's great to be here. I think with the arrival of generative AI, there's certainly a lot more interest that we are seeing our customers have on how they can drive their next wave of transformation. And we see a set of, kind of customer segments, customers that were extremely progressive on data. They are leapfrogging ahead and embracing AI and generative AI and creating large-scale impact in their business. And then there are others who are kind of putting this whole thing together, looking at use cases and experimentation to learn what it can do for their business. But they're also kind of thinking about putting their data in shape for them to be able to leverage it for AI and generative AI. I think for all industries and all companies, getting data ready for AI is something that we are seeing applicable across the board. Because even with clients that invested in data over the past decades, they have not dealt with the kind of data that AI and generative AI will now touch. The emails, the videos, the files, the documents, and really understanding what's in them and how do you process them for both value, which is to create new opportunities, but also looking at how you can safeguard consumer privacy, how you can safeguard confidential information, have security access for all this, wealth of information that enterprises have. So putting that entire equation together, working on data ready for AI is one thing that we're seeing happen across the board. From a business transformation perspective, a lot of interest in aligning this with the business strategy. So most industries either have disruption or innovation as their theme, or both. And AI and generative AI is a fuel driving those transformation forward. So we see a lot of interest in customer intelligence, marketing, supply chain, pricing, and areas like that. And that's where Infosys focused on working alongside customers to be able to bring out those solutions and innovations.
That's wonderful to hear. I know that historically, just before this partnership of Alteryx and Infosys, both of these companies I've been aware of, and our listeners probably have been as well. And many times, I'm sure you've had this conversation with your clients, your customers, that digital transformation often starts with digital disruption. And that's a scary proposition because everybody would love to change, but when you have a dramatic change, and I think generative AI has been like that this year, right? I mean, it's just been a phenomenal acceleration. I mean, almost like a rocket ship lifting off. The speed at which this transformation, i.e. disruption, is happening. So how do you feel that this partnership of the two of you together, bringing your expertise and helping companies overcome those fears, can really smooth that transition from disruption to transformation?
Absolutely. And I think both Alteryx and Infosys, we complement each other. We have synergies in our thinking and our approach to market and what we offer to our customers, but there's a lot of complementarity as well. Infosys is a digital services company that has helped our clients navigate through digital disruption, through digital innovation, to really drive the next wave of value for our customers. And Alteryx brings a foundation and capability and innovation that can really power the newer generations of processes and how you drive process transformation, how you embrace newer models. And that complementarity is what is bringing us together to look at how we can co-create solutions for, let's say, brand profitability or for F&A, or look at how we can even expand beyond that to go to marketing and supply chain and some of these areas where we're going to be co-investing in building out those solutions. So we believe that with our digital services position and with Alteryx position around AI foundation and AI capabilities that they power, that we have a lot in common that we can bring together and deliver that extraordinary value for our customers.
That's fantastic. I know from anyone who follows me on social media, I love to talk about data. My favorite four-letter word is data. And data is the fuel for AI, it's the fuel for all of this transformation. And sometimes companies think the end goal is doing something with the data, but the end goal is your mission, your value proposition to your customers. And I hear it in your words here, this whole idea of getting to a sector or getting to an industry or getting to a specific client, knowing what their goals and missions are. So it's not a cookie cutter solution. So we're going to use your data to implement AI. That sounds boring. But what are the kinds of things you see that may be specific to, maybe if you could talk about it, particular industries or sectors that you see happening now and into the future with this partnership?
Absolutely. Like I was saying, we want to anchor ourselves in what's happening in the industry where our customers are participating. So if we take financial services as an example, they are dealing with explosion of payments ecosystem. They are dealing with growth on digital. They are dealing with compliance. And we believe that through AI and generative AI, we can bring capabilities of the kind that will accelerate, time to value. And that's where we think that by building in solutions, or if you look at retail, brand profitability is a huge, problem that our customers are looking at. Revenue growth management is a focus area for most CPG companies across the world. Retail industry is focused on consumer intimacy, digital commerce, omni-channel experience for their consumers. And all of this had reached a certain point where you kind of saw the next breakthrough is going to happen when they can get closer to their consumers and understand their propensities of what they will buy, what are the kind of experiences they're looking for, and how the retailers or CPG companies can bring the ecosystem together for the value delivery to the consumers. A lot of these are opportunities that are aligned with industry direction. It's aligned with the business strategy that our customers have in these sectors, but also something that we can power with data and AI. So there is a tremendous energy in the entire value chain for us to be able to take that out, and that's how we're focusing on it. It certainly means disruptive innovation because of the kind of step change that it brings. But there's a way to think about this and make sure that we can soft land this in the context of the enterprise. Consumer AI is very different from enterprise AI. You're dealing with data, a very ocean of data, but that has not been unlocked. It has not been made available and accessible in ways that you can trust it. And that's where I think a lot of work has to happen in the context of enterprise AI. You combine that with business outcomes, you've got tremendous opportunity.
Fantastic. I think one of the sort of emerging trends I always see is the convergence of different things. And so over the years, we've heard messages like data for all. At Inspire, we hear analytics for all. Now we're hearing AI for all. So how do you measure the impact? How do you talk with a company that says, are you succeeding in that type of vision? What are sort of the business metrics or ways you have that conversation to measure that success and impact of what they're doing?
Yeah, no, very, very pertinent question. When we focus on business outcomes, which is what we are manually focusing on for our customers, we have thought about how we will deliver that. And oftentimes we see that in the industry, people pick up value measurement as an afterthought. For us, it is the first thought. You want to be able to frame the opportunity. You want to be able to identify the business value that you want to really deliver, and then design for it, right? And follow this through in your entire initiative, through implementation and through delivering those capabilities in a more iterative fashion. And once you're able to do it, you'll be able to see how individual designs and actions that you take lead to value or do not, right? In case they do not, because every enterprise is different. What works for me may not work for somebody else because it's all about people, culture, and the processes that I have in the organization and how AI and generative AI can make a difference. So having this feedback loop and doing it in quick iterations to run a series of market transformation is the way to do it. But along with that, you have to set your value framework so that you can measure them. So at Infosys, we have thought about an AI value office that goes hand in hand with AI strategy. And that's how we set the blueprint and the planning for our customers. And we stay through the course to make sure that the value is delivered and it is demonstrated to their customers, to their partners, and to all their stakeholders.
That's a great story. I really love that emphasis on the feedback loop, the reinforcement learning, which is very important. This is where we live in now because the destination sometimes changes along the way. There's a famous popular philosopher who said the future ain't what it used to be. And sort of the idea with that is that you sort of that idea where you're going, and yet it changes. And I think that value you bring is that the data is informing us, our customers are informing us, everything that we do, even our employees are informing us of what's working and not working, and we adjust accordingly. And I think that sort of learning that comes from data and from real intelligence, as well as what I call actual intelligence or actionable intelligence, which AI is a valuable proposition to any business who's going to be working with you and Alteryx and through your partnership. So I thank you today for sitting up for this conversation. Do you have any final words of wisdom for our listening audience today, or just have fun at Vegas?
Yeah, no, I think one of the most commonly asked questions is, what does AI mean for me? And we see that companies struggle to articulate a strategy behind this. So I just wanted to leave a thought of a three canvas approach. That is what we have taken, very successful with our customers. In the first canvas, you're thinking about becoming AI native. Get your data ready for AI. Think about people, culture, process, and bringing that AI first mindset. Second canvas, where you're layering this with business transformation. It is where you think about how you can serve your consumers differently, run your supply chain differently, run your operations differently, and so on. And finally, you're thinking about building new AI-driven products and services and experiences and building an ecosystem. We call it AI economy. These three canvases leave enough opportunities for every business to identify what's unique for them. So I just thought that would be useful to leave behind.
Fantastic. Well, signing off from Vegas, and we encourage you all to launch your AI economy today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.